Welcome in. What's Right with Nick Wright, episode 293. It is the Divisional Round preview episode, my single favorite sports weekend of the year. It also doubles, Damonza, as your Aunt Nicole's birthday weekend. So very often this weekend, my single favorite sports weekend is a weekend your mom is out of town. That is happening this weekend as well, which means it triples as a weekend where your baby sister is just totally unsupervised for about 36 hours. Like, her iPad might overheat by how much she's going to be on Roblox and FaceTime with her friends, just up in her room. She's basically going to be like a latchkey kid this weekend, but what do you want me to do? I mean, we got the 4 best football games of the year coming up. Your mom's going to be on a beach somewhere needing a passport, and there's nothing I can do. So, I mean, it just is what it is. I cannot wait. And let's get right to it. Here is what missed the cut for today's show. Quinn Ewers has declared for the NFL draft. That is not on this week's show. Trevor wants a young offensive coach. That's on the show. And Nick Sirianni allegedly has no issue with A.J. Brown reading. I do not believe him. That is not on the show either. I just think they are just like, man, whatever. Like, you're just going to do your thing, I suppose. So all of that missed the cut today.
Right there, it's good coaching.
Sure. Yeah, sure. He's just trying to keep it rolling. I would say better coaching would be having enough firm control of your team that your star player doesn't week in, week out, even when you're winning, cause a media maelstrom around him being disgruntled. But, you know, to each their own. All right, let's get to the weekend game of the year, Baltimore-Buffalo.
Yeah, Baltimore-Buffalo is set to face off this weekend in a game that they're saying that probably the winner will take the Super Bowl. Do you think that the quarterbacks are overshadowing this game, or is there something, or is there more to it that we're overseeing or overlooking?
Well, I mean, the story obviously is going to be Lamar and Josh, and it should be. They're going to finish 1-2 or 2-1 in MVP. They were first team and second team All-Pro. They have been the non-Chiefs story of the year. Here is what I find really interesting and also a little vexing or frustrating about some of the Lamar MVP arguments, which I understand, but the key to this game is probably Derrick Henry. And I think most Ravens fans and Ravens bettors want this to be a game that Derrick Henry is the star actor of rather than Lamar Jackson. Now, Lamar was exceptional in round one. In round one, they were both awesome. But in this game, when you look at, in particular, the edges that Baltimore has, it's their giant, powerful offensive line up against a somewhat undersized Bills defense. Additionally, when you don't have Zay Flowers, and listen, he hasn't been ruled out, but he didn't practice yesterday, it is going to have to be a Derrick Henry game. And I think that what makes you nervous if you're a Ravens fan is we have seen a tendency in the past, particularly if Lamar is up against another elite quarterback, that they seem to call a game plan that says, Lamar, go throw for throw with this guy, and that's not their best way to win. Their best way to win is the way they played last week, where they utilize the fact that Lamar is as devastating a rushing threat as any quarterback in NFL history. You then add, you have a first ballot Hall of Fame running back, and then you can take advantage of downfield passing because the other team is so concerned about what you can do in the running game. That's their best path. The way they played the Chiefs in the AFC title game, the way they played the Chiefs in week 1 of the season was, no, we're going to have Lamar be a pure pocket passer. And when they do that, that offense is not as terrifying. I understand that that Lamar's passing numbers are elite. I absolutely get that. I also understand the games are televised, and he is as brilliant as any player in league history at melding the threat to run while also staying a willing passer and taking advantage of the fact that the defense is caught in between two bad options. But we also know that and that's why I thought that 3rd and 13 touchdown on the opening drive against Pittsburgh was such a big play for him. He has not historically been as effective in spots where there's not the threat to run at all. The defense can purely play the pass. That's when the Ravens' offense has been stymied. Now, it wasn't that in the few spots, the few 3rd and longs he had against Pittsburgh, he came through repeatedly. And so that Derrick Henry is the key kind of focal point when the Ravens have the ball. And when the Bills have the ball, it's actually oddly, I don't want to say similar, but it's also about the running game, except for the Bills, it's more about Josh Allen's running, which is the Bills are not going to be able to create enough plays, big plays, through the air or James Cook in order to beat the Ravens unless the Ravens' offense just falls apart. The only way they can create enough big plays is if Josh Allen has at least 3, if not 4, devastating scrambles, where it's 3rd and medium or 3rd and long. It is a pure passing situation, and Josh Allen surveys the field. It's not there, and then goes and does Josh Allen things with his legs. Because the Bills do not have the talent on the receiving core to exploit the Ravens secondary, which has been really good the second half of the season. What the Bills do have is the best offensive line in the AFC. In fact, the 2 best offensive lines in the AFC might be playing in this game. And so this should be an all-time game. I think the Zay Flowers injury really matters because when the Bills' defense has looked vulnerable, it's been because that back end can't hold up. I also think that, and I love this part about playoff football, I know other people don't, I think the weather is a huge factor here. It is supposed to be a real feel. It's supposed to be 8 degrees with a real feel of -3. Now, the other really unique thing about this, Damonza, is not that Lamar is, well documented, does not like the cold, Florida kid, but also that the Ravens this week have been practicing indoors because their field, I guess, is frozen. And I want to get you, so I'm going to read you directly from BaltimoreRavens.com. Though the Ravens are in store for an icebox at Highmark Stadium, they did not practice outdoors Wednesday for a very simple reason. The ground is frozen. We got it as cold as we can in here right now. It will be even colder tomorrow when I get all the water shut off in here so the pipes don't freeze, Harbaugh said. So we'll have it cold. Would love to be outside, but we just can't. The fields are too hard, and they're frozen. I don't love that, man.
I mean, the fields aren't going to be frozen at the game. I mean,
no. I understand the rationale. What I'm saying is it's bad fortune that I guess their practice fields aren't heated from the bottom like you can do in certain facilities. Maybe you can't really do that outdoors. I'm not a landscaper. But you are not preparing as well as you could for the elements by practicing indoors. Flatly. You're just not. And the idea that, like, oh, we're going to get it really cold in here. Not as cold as it is outside in Baltimore right now. And however cold it is right now in Baltimore, it is much colder in Western New York. So now people can say that that's going to make it harder to tackle Derrick Henry. And it might. Like, that is a thing that could happen where people don't want to tackle Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry has, he hasn't played in one of these spots prior to the Pittsburgh game in quite some time. His last 3 playoff games before the Pittsburgh game were all bad by his standards. Now, that was teams where every single person on the opposing defense was like, we stop Derrick Henry, we win. But he went 20 for 62 against the Bengals. He went 18 for 40 against Baltimore. And he went 19 for 69 against the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. What's unique about that 3-game stretch is his playoff career prior to that was 30 for 195 against Baltimore, 34 for 182 against the Patriots, 12 for 28 against the Patriots in a loss, and 23 for 156 against the Chiefs in a win. So Derrick Henry for his playoff career has 8 games, 4 of which, are A+ games, and 4 of which were bad games. He's never had like an average playoff game. He has gone for either more than 150 yards or less than 70 yards in all 8 of his games. It's a really unique game. Like, so when you look at it, you're like, oh, he's played in 8 playoff games, has 900 rushing yards. He gets you about 100 yards a game. But that's not true. Going from in kind of ascending order, his rushing yards per playoff game are 28, 40, 62, 69, and then 156, 182, 186, 195. So it really is like you're not, again, the past is not necessarily an indication of the future, but based on the past, you don't get B+ Derrick Henry playoff games. You get C- or worse, or holy shit, that guy was dominant. And by the way, now again, it is not, he was on a Titans team with Ryan Tannehill as the quarterback, so that is not the situation here. But the 4 games he didn't hit 70 yards, 0-4, and the 4 games he had at least 150, 4-0. Like, now those are, that's not surprising to anyone. And this Ravens team is far better built than any of those Titans teams to be able to win, even if he doesn't have a monster game, because they have Lamar at quarterback, not Derrick Henry. But that is something I'm sorry, not Ryan Tannehill. That is something I'm super excited to watch. And we'll get to the pick part of it later. But the Bills being a home dog is noteworthy. They weren't a home dog against the Chiefs last year. They haven't been a home dog in the playoffs since, anyone have the year? I'll tell you. 1967, and they haven't been a home dog in the regular season in their last 40-some games. So it's surprising to me that Buffalo is a home dog. Now, we shouldn't disregard, we can't talk about this game without acknowledging the fact these two teams did play earlier this year, and it was not a classic. It was a rout. 35-10 Baltimore, up 21-3 at the half was Baltimore. Derrick Henry ran 24 times for a $199. Lamar only had to pass the ball 18 times, but on those 18 pass attempts threw for 160, couple touchdowns, a 135 rating. Baltimore ran for 270 yards, and Josh Allen didn't do anything. Josh Allen ran the ball 5 times for 21 yards, threw it 16 of 29 for a $180, no touchdowns, no picks, a 74 rating. So they did, now that was back in September, but they played, and it was a true rout. And so that is, and by the way, it wasn't a game, let me make sure I'm right about this. I don't think the turnover battle, no, the turnovers were 1-1. So you got a true rout in a game when turnovers didn't really play a factor. So that's a big check mark in Baltimore's favor. They doubled them up in yards, and Derrick Henry had his way with them. So we'll see. I said it before, I'll say it again.
They already played. Oh, go ahead. I mean, because McDermott had said that this is what everybody's been waiting for, Lamar going up against Buffalo. Would you consider that bulletin board material, or is it what everybody's been waiting for?
Oh, well, I mean, no. I mean, it is Lamar versus Josh, because of the MVP stuff, is what people have been waiting for all year. And I'll go a step further than Sean McDermott. I hope this is the greatest game in NFL history. I hope this is our first ever triple overtime playoff game. I hope people are telling their kids about what an absolute war this football game was. I hope it goes deep into Sunday night, and whomever wins comes out limping and battered and bruised to get ready to come to Arrowhead the following week. I will give my pick during our gambling portion of the segment in a few minutes, but let's move on to the next game.
So the Chiefs, the starters are playing for the first time since Christmas. We thought that the winner of that Chargers-Houston game was just going to be a blowover for the Chiefs, but with how Houston handled that game, do you see them being a potential problem for the Chiefs in the next round?
No. I think this is kind of the best case scenario for the Chiefs. Because while I don't think the Chargers would have been a problem either, the familiarity of it, there is that. And the Chargers played the Chiefs much tougher in their 2 matchups than the Texans did. And listen, the Texans salvaged what had been a somewhat disappointing season with that win last weekend. And the thing about that win last weekend is, offensively, I did not think Houston played that well. I thought that Houston was, if Herbert had played anywhere close to what his standard's supposed to be, that game should have been 17-0 early second quarter, and the Texans should have just been dead in the water. Instead, the Chargers let the Texans stick around 6-0 for an hour, and then finally Houston made a couple plays, then Herbert throws the pick 6, and all of a sudden the game is flipped entirely. This Chiefs team you're about to see on Saturday, is the first time all year long they're anywhere close to whole. Okay? So here's how it's gone for the Chiefs this year. before the season even starts, Hollywood Brown breaks his collarbone. He's out. Less than a month in, Rashee Rice goes down. Now take him out of the picture entirely because he's not coming back. Pacheco breaks his ankle or something. I don't know, his leg, his ankle, whatever it was. He's out. Charles Omenihu, their big free agent acquisition from a year ago, had torn his ACL in the AFC Championship game last season. He doesn't play the first 3 months of the year. Then Jalen Watson, the second best corner on this team, breaks his ankle at the midway point of the season. They are shuffling in left tackle after left tackle, trying to figure it out. Bring in DJ Humphries. In his first game, he pulls his hamstring. And now, oh yeah, and by the way, Travis Kelce was, on a bit of a pitch count all year and really trying to amp up for this moment. And now they enter the postseason with DJ Humphries back and healthy, with Hollywood Brown back and healthy, with Isaiah Pacheco back and healthy, with Charles Omenihu back and healthy, with
Watson's
I left
coming
something
back
out
too.
there. Jalen Watson back. Yeah. Exactly right. Thank you. Practicing in full. And Mahomes, in the 2 games with Hollywood Brown, the Chiefs averaged 28 points a game. Mahomes had a 110 passer rating, 6 touchdowns, no picks. You saw a glimpse of what the Chiefs were going to look like come the playoffs in that 3 games in 11 days, win these 3 games, get the 1 seed, and it was the best 3 games they played all year. And now you're going to see a rested, hungry, ready Chiefs team. They might throw it back in second gear in the second half if the Texans don't put up a fight. But I'm telling you right now, here's one little prior to the gambling show note. Chiefs over first half points might be the best bet of these NFL playoffs. The producers can tell me what it is. My guess is it's probably 14.5. You guys can put in the doc real quick if you guys want to look up what it is exactly. I'm trying to find it right now as I'm talking to you. But the Chiefs over first half points, and what's the first half spread? First half spread is Kansas City minus 4.5. I like that. What I love is I can probably game it out what the first half. Yeah, Vegas thinks that this game's going to basically be 13.5 is the Chiefs' first half point total. I'm telling you right now, they might have, if the Chiefs receive the opening kickoff, they'll have the 13.5 by the end of the first quarter. That much now I do think we might get Andy Reid shutdown mode in a playoff game if the halftime score is 20-3. But no, I'm not going to the Chiefs a week from Sunday. Say it again, Damonza.
Nothing. I don't know if you said it already. I said it was minus 105. You said the odds on it.
Oh yeah. Oh, so it's it's not even full 10-cent juice, just 5-cent juice. So it's slightly tiny bit juice to the under. That is as good of a bet as you're gonna find. Is the Chiefs over 13.5 in the first half.
All right.
I want to make this clear. Next Sunday against Baltimore or Buffalo is going to be a war. And I am not going to be as headstrong about that game. This week, let me remind the audience one other thing before we move on. So Patrick Mahomes has suffered. There's been 3 injuries in his career that he has had to leave the game because of. One was the quarterback sneak years ago that he then missed 2 weeks because he dislocated his kneecap. Got carted off the field. I thought I was going to collapse. The other 2 both happened in playoff games in the Chiefs' first playoff game of the year. Against the Browns in the 2020 season, they thought he suffered a concussion. He actually got choked and passed out. And so he was out and they wouldn't let him come back in. It was a crazy play because he blacked out temporarily, so his knees buckled, so they said no concussion. But he had if you watch the play, and I talked to him after the fact, there was no head injury. It was just they tried to tackle him and got their arm around his windpipe, and he passed out. And that was the anything is possible Chad Henne moment where he runs for it on 3rd and 17, and then they throw the pass on 4th and 1 to beat the Browns and Baker. The other one, he came back in this game, but was the Jags game when I think it was Arden Key did the hip drop tackle. He'd sprained his ankle. The other 4, so in his career, 2 of his 6 first playoff games, hasn't played the whole game. The other 4, the Chiefs have won 31-13, 51-31 after being down 24-0, 42-21, and 26-7. They have won them all by at least 19 points, or 18 points, pardon me. In fact, they have won them by, that's so funny. They beat the Browns, they beat the Colts by exactly 18. They beat the Dolphins by exactly 19. They beat the Texans by exactly 20. And they beat the Steelers by exactly 21. So 18, 19, 20, 21. They have scored 31, 51, 42, and last year 26 in negative 20-degree weather. That vintage Chiefs team that you've been looking for all year, you're going to see Saturday afternoon. I don't know if it'll be for the full game because I don't know if the Texans offense is going to keep it close. But certainly for the first half. All right, next.
So you changed your NFC Super Bowl pick this time to the Rams. You initially had Philly. Mm-hmm. So the Rams end up losing this game. Will you shamelessly go back to Philly?
No, I think if the Rams lose this game, I won't be allowed to have an NFC Super Bowl pick, to be totally honest with you. I don't think you're allowed 4. And what I will tell you is this, and we'll spend more time on Rams-Eagles in the picks. It's very, very rare that one team has a decided advantage at coach and quarterback, and that team is the underdog. And it is incredibly rare that one team has the decided advantage at coach and quarterback, and that team loses. And that's what the Rams have. Now, one instance of the team having the decided advantage at coach and quarterback and losing is actually the Chiefs to the Bengals in the AFC Championship game in overtime in 2021. Another example would be, we now would say the Vikings to the Giants, but at the time, I don't know if people thought Kevin O'Connell was better than Brian Daboll. Brian Daboll just won Coach of the Year. And so, this Rams team is really, really dangerous. And again, we can move off that here because we're going to talk more about them in the pick segment. Let's go to the last game.
So Detroit is obviously rested off the bye. They're catching Washington, and we don't know what's going to happen there. It's a young, feisty team. And we obviously know Detroit's going to be able to compete with Super Bowls in the future. But is it crazy to say that Washington is going to be their best competition in the NFC for years to come?
So that's interesting. I hadn't thought about this game under those terms. So I do think Detroit is positioned incredibly well, right? So let's just say Detroit's the class of the conference for the time being. Who else is right there with them? I think we've got to give Philadelphia credit for what they've been able to do year after year and put them right there. I would put Washington in the same bucket that I would put Green Bay. Young quarterback you really like, a lot of flexibility cap-wise, very young defense, and trying to build it out. Obviously I would love to put the Bears in there because of Caleb, but they haven't proven that at all, so I can't. I would say I love what Washington has put together. I also, in this game, and, you'll hear about it when we do our picks in a minute, but this was the one game I struggled with, Damonza, from a picks perspective. Because I'd be shocked if Washington won the game. But Detroit's defense had been truly horrible to close the year. And when we look at it, they allowed 31 to the Packers, 48 to the Bills, 34 to the Niners. But then we saw them hold the Vikings and Sam Darnold to 9 points, and we're like, okay, they figured something out. But then we saw the Vikings and Sam Darnold immediately get held to 9 points again in the next game they played, and like, oh, maybe it was that Darnold just pumpkin moded it. So I do think Washington is going to be able to move the football. I said this, I think, on Tuesday. I'll say it again. 3 quarterbacks ever, as a rookie, have won road playoff games. Mark Sanchez, who then also won on the road in round 2 and went to the conference championship game. Joe Flacco, who then also won in round 2 and went to the conference championship game. Russell Wilson, who that game is like a game that gets forgotten to history. Russell Wilson's second career playoff game, it was an all-timer. So it was Seahawks, Falcons in Atlanta. Halftime score, 20-0 Atlanta. Going into the fourth quarter, Damonza. Russell Wilson's a rookie. He's on the road. Going into the fourth quarter, 27-7 Atlanta. The Seahawks then score 3 consecutive touchdowns, including a Marshawn Lynch touchdown with 31 seconds left, to take a 28-27 lead, and they can't hold it for those final 30 seconds. I'm checking. Was there a kickoff out of bounds? What happened? So they take the lead 28-27. It wasn't a kickoff out of bounds, but there's a kick return to the 28. And so there's 25 seconds left. Atlanta has the ball down 1 on their own 28. Matt Ryan to Harry Douglas for 22 yards to get it to midfield. Then Matt Ryan to Tony Gonzalez. How about that? For 19 yards. And they're kicking a field goal. That's unbelievable. They got the ball with 25 seconds left. They kicked their field goal with 13 seconds left. They were like, we don't even want to run any more plays. And Matt Bryant bangs a 49-yarder, and they win. So the point being, only 3 rookie quarterbacks ever have won a road playoff game. 2 of the 3 then won the next round, and the other one had a lead with 30 seconds left kicking off, and they lost. So it would be an unbelievable story if Jaden can win, but everything seems to come up the NFL, and the AFC championship weekend, as long as the Chiefs win, sets up an all-time game. Mahomes trying to reach his third straight Super Bowl. What would be the sixth? Is that right? No, sorry. The fifth Super Bowl of his career. And his fifth in the last 6 years while going for a three-peat against either Lamar or Josh. Doesn't matter who. Both of them had their seasons ended in their building by Patrick last year for those guys to reach their first ever Super Bowl. That would be one side of the bracket. The other side of the bracket, if it's Lions-Eagles, you get the two best teams in the conference all year. And if it's Lions-Rams, you get an all-time storyline game. The Lions trying to reach their first Super Bowl ever with the best team they've ever had against their guy Matt Stafford, who they traded away to the Rams, and he instantly won a Super Bowl and could deny them their own trip. It'd be a pretty epic conference championship weekend. How do I see that going? And who do I have in the college football national championship? We do all that next. What's right? All right, welcome back in What's Right with Nick Wright. Before we get, Damonza, to our divisional weekend picks and another winning weekend for yours truly, and I got on your corner and even gave out a great teaser. Let's do a little college football just for a moment because the national championship game is on Monday.
Your favorite sports weekend of the year is going to be capped off with the national championship game between Ohio State and Notre Dame. So you're not usually a college football guy, but would you say anything in this game is catching your eye?
Listen, I love what Notre Dame's done. Marcus Freeman's made them likable. I said on the TV show a few weeks ago that I thought they were going to win the national championship. Now, Ohio State's better. There's no denying Ohio State's the better team. I just feel like Notre Dame is going to have a little something extra for him. This is not, I'm going to say this on the front end. You will get better, more in-depth game analysis of this game elsewhere. But here is what made me even more confident about my Notre Dame gut feeling. Every gambler in America, and this has been vouched for by sports books and places that report on these types of things, have a 2-team teaser going this weekend, Damonza, or a 2-team money line parlay. And it is the Chiefs parlayed or teased with Ohio State. And whenever everyone has one of those going, it doesn't bode well for one of the legs. And I'm here to tell you the Chiefs aren't losing to the Texans on Saturday. So that just leaves Ohio State. And I just think Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame are going to win. And I think that there is going to be, I wonder if Ryan Day is going to be able to ignore the devil on his shoulder saying, falling into the same trap he fell into against Michigan, which is, they think they're the physical team. We're going to show them who the physical team is. Ohio State should lean into who they are, which is, you've got 3 first-round wide receivers. Throw the ball. Notre Dame just wants to run the hell out of the ball and play good defense. I can't wait for it. I think, again, it's not the greatest analysis in the world. Just have a gut feeling. I think Notre Dame wins. Great analysis has been my picks all year. Just another great weekend. Really, in my opinion, only one game I was on the wrong side of. We can go over who it was last weekend, Damonza. Another 4-2 week. Houston +3 against the Chargers. Win outright. Buffalo -8.5 against Denver. Spot them 7, score 31 straight. Tampa -3 against Washington. Again, I don't feel I was on the wrong side of that one. That was not only a coin flip game, a coin flip point spread game, because if Tampa would have punched it in on the drive when they screwed up the snap, they would have been up 4. So I feel fine about that. Pittsburgh +9.5 against Baltimore. Wrong side of it. Bad pick. Philly -4.5 against Green Bay. Philly didn't even play that well and easily covered. And the Rams +1.5 against Minnesota. That thing was never a doubt from the word go. It also did allow the teaser I gave America, the Rams +7.5 and the Bills down to 2.5. That came in. And I'll tell you right now, I placed that teaser this past weekend, and then Monday morning, I placed another teaser involving the Rams. I teased the Rams up to +7.5 in that game, along with the Chiefs down to -1.5. And I give you another, so half that's already in, and I'll give you another one. I teased the Chiefs down to -1.5 and the Bills this weekend up to +7.5. So we got playoff teasers galore coming. And so one of them's in, one of them's halfway in, one of them hasn't kicked off yet, either leg, obviously. So there we go. Let's start with our picks this weekend. It's the playoff football, man. We gotta.
Yes, sir.
It's playoff football. Also, remember that screenshot I sent you of that bet I made on the Rams at 75-1. I've got, if we have a Chiefs-Rams Super Bowl, I am, obviously, I will be devastated if the Chiefs make the Super Bowl and lose. But if we have a Chiefs-Rams Super Bowl, I will be locked into the single biggest gambling win of my life in either direction. And so, now, if we have a Lions-Chiefs Super Bowl and the Lions win, it might be the single biggest gambling loss of my life.
Catastrophic, right? Yeah.
It would be bad. But, that's what That's what we live for the action. All right, let's go in order. First game of the weekend. Go ahead.
First off, you've got KC minus 8.5 versus Houston.
Yeah, I don't think this one's close, guys. I laid it all out earlier in the show. I think this will be the first game all year. The Chiefs score more than 30 points. I think the Chiefs will have 20 points at halftime. I think Mahomes is going to get the ball out of his hands quick and neutralize that Houston pass rush. He is not going to make the types of throws that Justin Herbert did, and let Houston pick him off 4 times. Patrick Mahomes in this round in his career is 6-0. They score 32 points a game. He has 16 touchdowns, 0 picks. They're historically blowouts. Well, that's not fair. 2 of the 6 have not been blowouts. But in the divisional round, they have beaten the Colts by 18, the Texans by 20, the Browns I guess, you know what? Let me take that back because I forgot that the Browns game was the divisional round. Obviously, the 13 seconds game was the divisional round. So they haven't all been blowouts. That's incorrect by me. The first game of the playoffs, that's what I was thinking. 4 of the 6 times Mahomes been in the playoffs, that first game they played after the bye or after rest was a blowout. The 2 that weren't, he got dinged up in. I think Houston, this is a round the Chiefs never lose in, and it's a round the Texans literally have never won in. They've never played in a conference championship game. Mahomes in his career with extra rest is 31-7 straight up. Mahomes in his career with 13 or more days of rest is 19-3 straight up and 13-9 against the spread. The Chiefs' last 3 regular season games that Mahomes played in, they won by an average of 13 points. And we just saw them play Houston and handle Houston pretty easily as they were getting Hollywood Brown back in the game. That's the game you and I watched together, right, Damonza? Or was it the Steelers? No, the Steelers game was on Christmas. No. The Houston game was.
Yeah, we watched. Was it?
You weren't in New York yet. We watched Chiefs Raiders together over Thanksgiving and Chiefs Steelers together on Christmas. This was the Saturday before Christmas, but I like the Chiefs minus the 8.5. Next,
you've got Washington plus 9.5 at Detroit.
This was the one that I struggled with the most. I feel really good about the other 2 picks. This one, I ended up landing on. I just think Washington is going to be able to score a bunch of points. The reason I struggled with it is I could see a scenario where Washington scores 28 and doesn't cover. Like, I think Detroit might score every time they have the ball. And so I do not trust Washington's defense against the Lions at all. But Jaden's been so good in big spots. Washington somewhat neutralizes the Lions' 4th down edge that they have on most teams because Washington goes for it on 4th down as aggressively and as much as any team in the league. And there obviously will be backdoor cover potential where even if Detroit is up 14 points, Washington's going to be fighting to the very end. I'd really would love if this thing could touch 10 points. So you can, if they're down 17, your bet's not dead because of the backdoor cover. But I do not have as much conviction in this game as I do in the other 3. But we pick every game of the playoffs because I think Detroit's defense is a truly beleaguered unit right now. I will take Washington plus the points, but as you can hear, I I don't have a great feel for it. And full disclosure to the audience, this is a game I will not be betting. So the deal I have with the audience during the regular season is we have a full slate of games. I pick my 5 favorite, and I bet all 5 games. In the playoffs, I pick every single game, so I don't feel the obligation to bet every single game if I don't have a good feel for it. This is the hardest one for me, but I'll take Washington plus the points. Next,
Next, you've got the Rams plus 6 at Philly.
yeah, I think the Rams are going to win the game. How about this for a stat? Since 2003, Super Bowl winning quarterbacks are 62 and 25 against the spread when they're an underdog in the playoffs. 62 and 25 when they're an underdog in the playoffs. Sean McVay is 16 and 7 in his career against the spread on short rest, and 7 and 1 against the spread in his last 8 games in this spot. The producers ask me if I'm interested in the Rams money line at plus 235. Yeah, I'm betting the Rams to win the game. So yes, I think the Rams are going to win the game. Now, the Eagles at home in the playoffs under Jalen Hurts just blow people out. They're 3-0 against the spread, and they cover the spread by an average of 17 points per game. They have just been an absolute wagon at home in the playoffs with Jalen. But
you see them.
Their 3 playoff wins with Jalen Hurts, he's never thrown for 140 yards in any of these games, or more than 150 yards. He's never rushed for more than 40 yards in any of these games. And I just think McVay and Stafford getting 6 points is a great side to be on, and I like the Rams to win outright. And I do think a Lions-Rams NFC Championship game just sets up amazing drama, and it's an amazing story for the NFL. And now, lastly, Damonza, the game of the weekend.
Buffalo plus 1.5 versus Baltimore.
Yeah, I think Buffalo is the slightly better team, and they're at home. I think this line should be Buffalo minus 2.5. And so I would not be shocked if Baltimore won. But I think the line opened a little too short when it opened Buffalo minus 1.5. And the fact that it flipped all the way to the other side is crazy to me. And so, listen, I understand Lamar as an underdog or as a small favorite is dominant, 26-9 against the spread in his career. I think the conditions favor Buffalo. The home field obviously favors Buffalo. The fact that there is immense pressure on both of these guys. Obviously, Lamar's yet to have a great playoff run. Josh has lost in this round 3 straight years, and he's lost in this round at home 2 straight years. I just think the Bills have been the second best team in football this year, and the second most complete team in football this year as far as offense, defense, not necessarily all the talent. And so I like Buffalo plus 1.5. Damonza, I assume that you are big on the Ravens here.
Yeah, I'd take the Ravens. Well, in a close game like this, kind of like getting the points, but it's 1.5 point. I think the Ravens are going to win. So it's just no, like, and if they do
right,
end up
if you
winning,
think the Ravens, this is really right. This is not a pick 'em, but it's close to a pick 'em. Do you agree with me that? Well, do you think this is a Lamar game, or if the Ravens win, is it a Lamar game or a Derrick Henry?
I think it's more likely to be Derrick Henry. I think it's more likely to be.
Yep.
Wouldn't say I wouldn't say I would be shocked if it were Lamar, but yeah, I think that's what the game plan should be. But yeah.
So all right, so my 4 picks for the week: Kansas City laying the 8.5, and then 3 underdogs. Washington plus 9.5. The Rams plus 6. The Bills plus 1.5. I don't feel the need to recap your picks from last week, Damonza. I don't think that's
Don't feel
that
the need.
well, I mean, I don't. It feels mean. I mean, we can show it to you. Damonza decided to stray from his teaser comfort zone, and it really didn't go great. He somehow, I mean, go ahead if you want to defend yourself here. It just didn't go great.
Yeah, I mean, there's really no defense. It's unfortunate. I was doing really well on the Pick'em League on the side. Now it seems like I was lying the entire time. I make picks this one
That's
time
right.
on the
How
show.
did you finish in that?
Pops, I didn't make my picks when I went out to Christmas vacation. So that put me in a really bad. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, really. It was. I gotta say, like, you know, it's like a
What
pick 'em
place
league. It's
were
not
you
serious. That made me finish in third. I was actually like a little like, bro, what? Come on, dude. But yeah.
I can't believe it. What place were you in when you didn't?
I was in second. I
make
was
your
one.
picks?
I was one pick behind first. It was
Did you still
bad beat.
finish ahead of J-Mac?
Yeah. Honestly, wait, hold on. That might not be true.
No, you
no,
went 0 for 5 on a week.
Yeah.
And
then
finished
got two
in
picks
third.
Yeah, exactly. It was yeah.
Oh,
it's
that's
unfortunate.
devastating.
But we're back next year. But yeah, I mean,
Wow.
the producers damn near didn't allow me to make picks this time. They actually kind of pushed me over to the teasers. But
no, screw that. You'll just
joking.
do them. We don't need graphics. Chiefs minus 8.5 or Houston plus 8.5.
Oh, yeah. So I am gonna. My teaser is the 3-team, the 7.5.
No. Wait. Hold on.
What are you saying?
You can do your teaser as well, but
Oh,
I
yeah,
want your
man.
4-game picks.
Oh,
So,
about 4 game
I'm
picks.
just gonna go through them real quick. Chiefs
Okay.
minus 8.5 or Houston plus 8.5.
I'm gonna take Houston plus 8.5.
Okay, so you're going against me there. Washington plus 9.5 or Detroit minus 9.5.
I'll take Washington plus the 9.5.
All right, we're on the same side there. Rams plus 6 or
I'm
Philly
taking
minus 6.
Rams plus the 6 there, and then there I'm.
And then
lastly,
you
I'm taking
already said Baltimore minus 1.5. So we're opposite on Kansas City, Houston, and Baltimore, Buffalo. We're the same on the others. Now let me hear this teaser. Let's see if we can get back on the right side of things.
3-team, 7.5 point teaser, sitting at plus 105. We're teasing Kansas City down to -1 versus Houston.
So Kansas City just to win. Okay.
Yep, exactly. They're a pick'em, and then we're teasing Washington up to plus 17. And then we've got the Rams plus 14 at Philly. And as far as what do you call it, Baltimore, Buffalo, leaving those games out as far as the teasers. Just want to enjoy it. It's going to be a great game.
All right, I love this teaser. I'll give this teaser an A. You get the Chiefs through all the key numbers. You get Washington up to 17, which I love. You get the Rams up to 14, which I love. That's a great teaser. They want the touchdown genie. The producers tried to give us Jalen McMillan. I rejected it smartly. I do like this week for touchdown genie Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce in the playoffs is a dominant performer. He is rested. Went on, did the podcast rounds this week, made it sound like he does not plan to retire, which I love to hear. So Kelce plus 155 anytime touchdown. I like that one a lot. And the producers have an offer for me, Damonza, so go ahead.
So Travis Kelce to score a touchdown in the Super Bowl is plus 550 right now. Would you take that?
No, I wouldn't. I think you probably can get better odds if you believe that's going to happen. I bet you can get better odds by simply So it's not that I don't think he'll score a touchdown in the Super Bowl. It's that if you do the following, you're betting the same thing, and I bet you get like plus 600, which is bet the Chiefs on the money line this week. Because in order for the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl, for Kelce to score a touchdown in the Super Bowl, the Chiefs obviously have to win this week and win next week, and then Kelce has to score a touchdown. So what I would say would be the better way to make that bet be bet the Chiefs on the money line this week. Then take every single dollar that you bet on that and that you won, put it on the Chiefs money line next week, then take every single dollar that you put on that and that you won on Kelce to score a touchdown come the Super Bowl. My guess is those three things put together, you end up with like a plus 600 ultimate, wager, so to speak. So I do like the idea of Kelce scoring a touchdown in the Super Bowl. I don't like betting it right now at plus 550 because I think you can do better. All right, quick break, answer some listener questions, then I got to get out of here. What's right? All right, Damonza, let's get right to it. Let's answer some listener questions, please.
Blue. As the sports media ombudsman, I need you to ask why the NFL broadcasts have been talking about running backs missed tackles forced rather than just broken tackles. It's a stupid change.
Yeah, I don't like it either, and I don't get it. I'm sure there's some like the way that's being graded by the league, or maybe it's an official stat, but I like broken tackles more as well. All right, next one.
Scott, would LaFleur be fired or on the hot seat without the 7 seed? With the old format, the Packers would have missed the playoffs 3 seasons in a row.
That's an amazing. I had never thought. Listen, I think people love Matt LaFleur, but that is a really interesting wrinkle that the last year with Rodgers, they missed the playoffs. Last year, they were the 7 seed and then won that game, which really made everyone love them. And this year, they were the 7 seed. That's interesting. Maybe he would be on the hot seat if they had gone 3 straight years without making the playoffs. Wow, maybe. That's interesting. All right, next.
Ethan, Nick, what's your favorite part of living in NYC? If not for first things first, would you stay or would you move somewhere else?
My favorite part about living in New York is without question the food. It's not like the food by a mile. It's the best food city in the world. With respect to Tokyo and Paris, it's the best food city in the world. I actually watched football with my buddy Maverick this weekend, and he was trying to argue for Los Angeles' food scene. And LA's got a good food scene, but it's not New York. I don't think I'll live here for the rest of my life. But my wife's store is here. So if not for the TV show, would I live here? I don't know. Listen, if not for the TV show, I don't think I would spend winters here. I know I sound like an old man when I say that, but if not for when Deanna graduates high school, I think I'd probably split time between Vegas and New York is what I think I would do. And I think maybe I will do. Maybe LA and New York. But I'm not sure. That's kind of what, Damonza?
A lot of turning.
No, No,
But
I mean like
guess if you're
months
going
at a
out there
time.
for exactly for seasons, that makes
Yeah,
it's
not like regularly.
different.
All right, so let's
Yeah,
you guys erased the question
yeah,
about
it
the
was
water
going on.
mug?
Yeah.
No, read that one. Read that because it's funny.
David, Nick, how excited was your wife when she found out she was going to get to throw a mug of water on your face on live TV?
That wasn't my wife. That's our friend of ours named Shauna. Listen, the
David, I'm with
audience
you
is
there.
not obligated to know what my wife looks like, and so I'm not bothered. A lot of people thought that. Yet I think they just saw a pretty black woman with big curly
Side
hair, and they
profile
assumed
hair. Yeah.
the hair. Yeah. Yeah, my godmother texted me and said that a lot of her friends text her saying Nick's wife's on the show, but she knew it wasn't her, and like no. So no, that's our friend Shauna Harley. Shout out to her. She did a great job with that. All right, next.
Noah, Nick, if the Eagles win this weekend, will this flip-flop go down worse than your Warriors-Celtics one?
No, because this one, the Warriors-Celtics one was such a weird one, and Draymond got mad and all that. My heart was never with the Eagles. Everyone knew that. It was pretty clear. Next one.
Luke, question for Nick. Is it possible your problems with early Lamar are actually a Greg Roman problem? We've seen him coach unmitigated disaster playoff games with two generational quarterbacks.
Maybe. I mean, listen, we'll see. The problem with that line of thinking is last year's AFC Championship game when they scored 10 points and Lamar really struggled. Greg Roman wasn't there. But maybe, listen, if Lamar goes on a great playoff run, then maybe you can lay it at Greg Roman's feet and we'll see what happens with Harbaugh. I cannot wait for this weekend. I said we'll see what happens with Harbaugh. I meant we'll see what happens with Herbert. I cannot wait for this weekend. Should be great. Also, by the way, we've had a pretty good run this week on the TV show. We had the singers on Monday.
Oh, so that was
we had
amazing.
the bit with the water being thrown on my face on Tuesday. I'm not going to spoil anything. But today, be tuned in right at the top of the show and then throughout the show. We have one of the greatest. I don't want to spoil anything. We have an amazing surprise planned for the audience. So today, if you're a fan of the TV show, be watching right at the top of the show. I will see you guys then. I got to run. What's right?
Oh, wow.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you're still here, do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button, then hit the bell so you can be notified when we have new episodes. After you've done that, one more favor, go to your favorite audio platform of choice and subscribe there as well. Don't forget, we're live every Tuesday and Thursday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern-ish. 10:35, 10:40, it sometimes changes, but that's why you hit the bell. You hit the bell so you're notified. You subscribe so we can get to 200,000 followers. We're right around 150,000. We'd love to get to 200,000, get Damonza another plaque. So like, subscribe, rate, send a rating too. Do all that cool stuff. Thanks, guys.